told me that if I were thinking he wasn't having any technical issues tonight, he actually was. So Pat, your streak remains intact.
This intro is shorter than I thought it was. I'm also trying to eat a salad. I thought I had more time. I thought I had another bite than I did.
That's the move. That's when I really know I'm busy, when I bring my salad to the Swolecast on Wednesdays or occasionally on Splash Play. And then it's like, all right, you get your shit together. I can't be eating on stream, but we'll allow it tonight, Pat.
I appreciate that.
Gretch, how are you doing?
Good, man. Good. Nothing new to report, really.
Nothing new. All right,
hanging out with the kids, going for walks with the wife. We did like 3.5 miles yesterday, another like 3 today. It's been a nice couple of weeks of the off season, you know.
I know it has felt nice too. I'm actually getting a few things done where I was going through doing some accounting, some settling on stuff, just, you know, all the things that we put off in the middle of the season because we're so busy, and now I can be an adult for a little bit.
Well, you want to talk about something I was putting off until the end of the season. Murphy is getting neutered tomorrow.
Whoa, big news.
Big news.
Snip chasing.
How did you do that so quick?
That was pretty good.
Your mind just works in puns, dude.
It's not a good thing. When's his big day? You said tomorrow?
Tomorrow, yeah. Got to withhold food. Give him some kind of medicine tonight, and then again in the morning. So it's an 8:30 appointment I have. They want me to give him some kind of medicine at 5:30 in the morning. I'm like, what do you really want me to do? Because I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Like it takes 3 hours to kick in, so you really should give it to him 5:30 in the morning. I was like, okay, but again, what's the second option here? So I don't know. I'm not waking up 5:30. I think I'm just gonna have to give it to him as close as maybe I'll just be late to the appointment. Maybe that's the solution here.
I think you should come up like jerry rig some Rube Goldberg machine where at 5:30, like a little thing comes down, and Murphy can take it himself.
He probably would enjoy that and eat the medicine from it. So that's actually a pretty great idea.
Well, you're gonna have to keep us posted on Murphy. He is the unofficial mascot of ship chasing. We wish him the best as he goes under the knife, and hopefully mellows out after this whole ordeal.
Yeah, he's gotten a little bit his sniffing is a little aggressive these days. It's not ideal.
It's because he's all horned up. You got to take away
he's a little horned up.
Yeah. All right, so tonight on the show, 2 exciting things. Gretch has been in the Omnifantasy lab. We're going to be starting up some of those leagues. We're going to talk about that tonight. And on top of it, our friends over at Underdog Fantasy launched a very 0 RB friendly tournament. Finally, the semantics can be removed.
Is it 0 RB friendly?
There are literally 0 RBs, Pat. That's as friendly as it can get.
But the whole point is that we're fading the running backs, so they took away the thing we're fading.
Okay, but when
the competition is also fading them.
When we draft with the ship chasers, no one takes running backs anyway. It's
That's
not
true.
like we get any advantage out of there not being running backs or there being running backs in the pool. So we might as well just remove all pretenses and take the entire.
That's true, but I think I'm better against non-ship chasers than ship chasers.
But what happened to what do the tight ends do? Why can't they be involved?
The tight end should be involved.
How is it 0 RB if tight ends are an important part of this?
I think
just roll them as the wide receivers.
You guys are thinking about this the wrong way. To me, this is a moral victory because the point is there would never be a running backs only tournament. Because that would just be absolutely.
Well, maybe that's what they're setting up here.
Oh,
maybe they're setting up running backs and tight ends.
Do not clip this someday when I am wrong and they release a running backs and tight ends.
Maybe they're setting up grown ass men, the tournament of just running backs and tight ends.
Okay, so we're just like the backyard little boys prancing around, and then the real gridiron starts.
The real gridiron grown-ass man tournament, and I would draft in that
I
tournament.
will start tight end times 5 in that league. I don't even care.
So we'll hop in 1 or 2 of those later, and we will see just how absurd it is. I know a bunch of guys in the Discord and in the Bestball channel have already been hopping in those, so we'll get to, as we always do, learn on our feet what's going on in there. But before we get to that, Gretch, tell us what's good with Omni Fantasy. We've been paying out some of the winners from last year. Kind of any final takeaways from this past season before we launch 2022?
No big takeaways. I mean, the Super Bowl was great. We talked 2 weeks ago about last year's ship chasing tournament. We had 3 12-team drafts. They were all the exact same settings, and the way the scoring works, there was no significant advantage. So we had one overall winner. Who was that? Was it Paul?
Yeah, Paul took it down.
And then that was from your league, and he had already kind of run away with it. But mine and Pat's were both still in question. And the teams in second place in both instances had the Rams. So it went down to the final event, and the teams that were in second came from behind and won in the final event. So congrats to those guys. I know for mine it was Spence, and I don't know who won Pat's. I haven't actually dug into this a lot. But the main thing for tonight is that we need to start drafting again for next year. For those of you guys that want to do it again, I set up a little Google form just so I can have it all in one place where you just put your name and your Twitter handle and your email. Right now we have, it looks like about 9 people signed up. You can get that in the Deposit Kingdom.
Yeah, I just posted it in the chat here too.
Okay, so it's in the chat here as well. You can jump in there, sign up if you want to play. No huge obligation either if you change your mind, but we are going to fire these up, I think, this week. I mean, we got to get going. We're already starting to see events. We're kind of actually behind because the NFL had an extra week. And so last year it used to be a full week after the NFL season ended. And then the following Tuesday that the round of 16 for the Champions League would start. We did the Champions League last year. That's the international, or it's the international club level soccer tournament in Europe. So you have Man City in it, but also Bayern Munich and, Real Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain and all these soccer teams. They play 2-leg matches in their round of 16. The first leg started this week. So we had a couple games today, a couple games yesterday. I didn't see the results today. Yesterday, PSG beat Real Madrid 1-0 and Man City beat, some kind of also ran that's in the tournament this year 5-0. But anyway, we're starting to get some results there. Those won't be finalized until March when they play the second leg of the round of 16. So it's just sort of more information that we'll have as we draft. But we'll be drafting for the Champions League. But before too much more happens, especially before the second legs start happening and all that other stuff, we want to get these drafts started. So now's the time to draft throughout February. Definitely by mid-March is really when you want to get these drafts in. But I think we're ready to fire it up.
That's I'm excited about it. If you want to know how excited people are, Davis in one of our group chats just wrote, "I would rather die than not run this back in a World Cup year." So World Cup, I think, is going to be a big draw.
That'll be a fun one. Yeah. World Cup year is always a fun one for Omni. It's a blast to draft World Cup teams. It's really interesting this year because it's in Qatar or Qatar. I always say that wrong, but it's in November and December. So usually we've done this long enough now. This is the third World Cup year we've done it. The first year I ever did this was 2014. Prior, you knew the field. But this year, because qualification was pushed back by COVID and the tournament isn't until November in the summer, or I guess it's in the winter over there because they want it to not be summer because it's too hot. I'm not exactly sure why they're playing in November or December, but it's in November, December. I know in past years, the World Cup's often been in June. Because of that, we don't actually even know the field yet. We did my first Omni draft, the one that I've done for all these years. We just finished it up. U.S. and some of those countries are getting taken. U.S. is not necessarily qualified yet. They blew it last year in a very similar spot before their final qualifying matchups. There's a lot of other teams that are on the fence. There's some good South American countries like Uruguay, and I think I ended up taking Uruguay that are on the fence to qualify, but they're kind of sweet. So anyway, World Cup is fun. It's fun to get a team in there and our country in there for when that rolls around. The whole idea for this, some people are saying they don't know what they just signed up for. You draft teams instead of players. You get points when they win championships. It's a whole bunch of different leagues. It's the NBA, NFL, Major League Baseball. It's college sports, college basketball. If your team wins the Final Four, the March Madness and wins the entire college basketball tournament, you win points. If your team wins the Champions League, you win points. If your team wins the World Cup or the Super Bowl or the college football championship or the Stanley Cup finals or whatever. So that's what you're drafting. You're drafting a whole bunch of different teams. And, you're basically just like playing futures odds in fantasy draft format. It's pretty fun.
And I should
And
also
you're trying
mention.
to win.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to mention, you're trying to win first and second places, right? Really what's going to drive the winners. So you want to factor in how top heavy the different leagues are. That's a big part of the strategy.
Yeah.
Some leagues are a lot more chaotic. Some leagues are much more predictable. So that's a big part of what makes it fun.
Yeah, and the other thing too, if it sounds intimidating and like, oh my God, I have to become a thought leader on every single sport, you really don't. And the way that Ben and Kevin have the site set up, is it Kevin's model that does kind of the expected points next to the picks?
He runs Sims based on the futures odds. So yeah.
Yeah, so basically all the legwork, like I started doing like my own spreadsheet and pulling in futures odds. And then I realized Kevin had already done all of the legwork for this. And so, yeah, there's still a lot of kind of game theory and strategy based on which leagues and which teams you want to prioritize. But a lot of the expected points are going to be right there for you. So you can dive in without a ton of research and then have a really fun sweat.
The big thing I would say for anyone drafting with the expected points is we manually redo that and run the sims, and so I give him new odds like usually once a week during like drafting season. I haven't done it for a couple of weeks now because we haven't really started. We don't have a lot of drafts going on yet, but sometimes the odds are a little bit behind, especially in sports like college basketball they're playing right now. Like if there's a big upset, so like right before your pick, don't go directly off our site, which won't be live. I would say go to DraftKings Sportsbook, go to some site that has good futures odds, and just double check that the odds haven't shifted for some reason. Because sometimes with the sports that are actively running and odds can shift a lot, like college basketball, where a team can have a big upset that makes them look a lot more likely to make the tournament, or a top team can have a big loss that suddenly makes them not look likely to be on the 1 seed anymore or whatever. Their odds can shift quite a bit week to week in college basketball. I would say that the NBA and the NHL are the other ones that are running right now. Not huge shifts, especially the NBA doesn't have huge shifts like week to week. NHL maybe some based on like who's looking likely to be in the playoffs, but their playoff structure, to Pat's point, notoriously sort of unpredictable. You can have NHL teams that last year they did the 4 divisions independently because of COVID, and so they had the 1 through 4 seed in each division in their like mini brackets, and then the winners went to the semis. And I believe the 1 seed in none of them made it out of those regions because it's just the way the NHL is. Like the top seed in each division didn't win. So anyway, a lot of different sports and considerations like that to factor in. You don't have to know every sport. Like Pete said, you don't have to score in every sport. The way the scoring system is, if you get points in like half the sports, you're doing really well. You're going to be in a good spot. Usually like the overall winner, there's 18 picks, is going to get like 10 of their picks are gonna score. Sometimes you can get there with 9. If you get to like 11 or 12 picks scoring points, then you've done really, really well. But you can punt sports too if you don't care about them. So, it's fun.
So we should. Oh, go ahead, Pat.
Well, I was just going to point out. I mean, I've never played this before last year, and I won our Rotoviz League by picking the Chicago Sky, which I researched as the draft was going on. MLS, New York City FC, which I know nothing about, and I'm pretty sure I picked because it's New York. Daniil Medvedev, who I got super psyched watching his highlights because he's like super fun to watch. So that was.
Did we watch him on Ship Chasing?
We watched him on Ship.
We watched him on Ship Chasing. I'm a big Medvedev fan now. That's actually part of the fun of this, is that like, not in every case, but in some cases it'll kind of make you fancy stuff. And then Euro England, I got points for, and then I got like some points for the Bills, some points for the Brooklyn Nets, which again I kind of picked because I live in Brooklyn. But they were also like, I had the really high expected points total as well. But I don't know. You can have fun with it. You can do a little homework, learn a little bit more, and you can still have a good result. You don't have to go like hardcore into every league. Because I think the expected points are really good on here.
That's a great point to drive home. It's definitely a thing where, like, I've done it for like 8-9 years. I have some little strategies I like, and I created an Omnifantasy Substack that's free for anyone who wants to get into strategy stuff. There's stuff there, omnifantasy.substack.com, if you want to go read about like some strategy stuff. And I'm sharing everything that I think makes sense or works. But at the same time, to Pat's point, like, you can't actually be like good at this. It's picking futures odds, and everyone's pretty much going to pick based on the odds. Like, it is a draft, so you're not going to randomly in the 6th round get a team that's 5-1 favorites to win their league. They're going in the 1st round. You know, the best NBA teams and the best baseball teams are going to be gone. Really, all you control is like what sports you hit at what points in the draft, so you can kind of
structure.
Get the structure that you want. Yeah, and we all talk about structure so much. I think people here understand that, but
I think you can be good at it. I think, but it comes down to structure. It's not really going to be about,
and then there's luck, even if you're good at
everybody. Yeah, of course.
So I know, Gretch, you're circulating the form just to get general interest. I would also like to kind of do similar to what we did last year, maybe for the Ship Chasing VIP Discord members, where I'll put up a prize for anyone who wins across our 3 leagues. Is there what's going to be the best way to kind of create these? Should I get together another form for in the Discord?
For what are you talking about, for the prizes?
For if we're going to do a Ship Chasing VIP prize for the overall winner, like we did for Paul last year. Like, are we going to do individual leagues like we did with the 3 of us?
Yeah. So my thought was the same thing. It's kind of like one big competition. We'll randomize the leagues. That's what we did last year. But we had a Pat league, a Pete league, and a Ben league, and then we randomized everyone else into those leagues. We set the settings the same. And then we did like a $20 buy-in. We did half to the Chris Wesseling's fund. The other half went to the individual league winners, but then we had an overall winner as well that got the prize. And so I was thinking sort of the same structure.
Yeah, perfect. Well, we'll huddle this week too. And with the names you get, and I might end up doing another form in the Discord, and we can kind of figure out based on interest how many leagues to do. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And what did you say is you said we're behind, so getting these drafts started as soon as possible makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to do it by the end of this week, by like Friday or something, get drafting this weekend. But I mean, I also don't want to, have anyone miss out that wants to join or whatever. That maybe just missing one Ship Chasing show this week or whatever. So we'll see. I mean, we're at 21 people in right now. So, and yeah, I mean, to your point, we might end up with more than 3 leagues this year and might need a way to expand. So we'll talk about sort of based on interest and everything, what we're going to do. Cause I just set this form up like a couple hours ago, and we're at 21 already. Last year we had 3 12-team leagues with the 3 of us. So we had 33 additional people. We're at 22 now. Someone else just joined. So we're probably going to go past that. We might have a 4th league or a 5th league this year. We'll see what happens.
Sweet. Yeah, we will we'll be figuring that out, and we will keep you guys posted. But yeah, we'll try to get these kicked into gear within the next day or so. And then as far as for people who haven't done it, we normally get Twitter groups, right? Is kind of the best way to kind of form people, since that's what it's connected to.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Is the only login we have for the site right now is a Twitter account. You just like link to your Twitter account. I know a lot of people that aren't on Twitter are like, well, then I can't play. I mean, man, it is crazy easy to just create a burner Twitter account. Like, I had to convince some of my buddies who, when we put it on the site, to do that. And a couple were somewhat skeptical, and they were like, yeah, that was really easy. Not a big deal at all. So they just have a Twitter account for Omnifantasy. If you really hate that, I'm sorry. We just don't have other, it's a pretty simple site that we built so that we could do this.
Well, what I'll do for the VIP ones is I can create individual threads within the Discord channel. So I could set those up if people prefer to talk about the leagues and ping each other within Discord. That's a good idea too. Yeah. So, we'll be in touch with that. Gretch has your emails, and I'll circle back with the VIPs in the Discord. We'll get that underway here in the next day or two. Definitely looking forward to that. Are there any other high level places where you think people can do research, or is it really kind of just getting super familiar with the futures odds on stuff?
Okay, so first thing, like like you just said, high level. So this is going to be hilarious, but the literally the best place to do research is Wikipedia, which is they have awesome pages for each season for every.
Should we donate
sport.
the winnings to Wikipedia?
To Wikipedia. But like you can go to MLB 2021 season, and they'll have an actual like visual bracket you can look at to see, the winners and who was in there and in the playoffs and stuff. And there's always a link to just click back to the prior year. You can cycle back through and kind of look at it. The other element you'd want is what the odds were of a lot of those teams at the beginning of the season. On the Omnifantasy Substack, I wrote a huge post last year specifically looking at the league that, I didn't have the futures odds, but I had my past draft results dating back to like 2015. And essentially we were drafting pretty close to futures odds in order. And so I was setting it up like, okay, this was the 5th MLB team taken, was the one who won the World Series this year, and just put some data in there in terms of like what sports had late round winners over the last 5-6 years and what sports were consistently like kind of the top favorites were winning those sports. That's a post that I'll drop a link in the chat here when I find it, but it's a good one, I would say, for research as well. That at least
can you throw the link in the Discord too? I want to check that
out. Here, I'm going to send it. I don't ever have the comment. I can send it in our private chat. Pete, will you throw that in the YouTube chat?
Yeah.
And then, I'll throw it in the Ship Chasing Discord as well.
Yeah, and I'll put this in the, if you guys are listening to this on audio, we'll be sure to include the link in the podcast description as well.
But yeah, it's that's like the biggest thing for research. I would say is just kind of go back and look at what sports. We all know NFL, right? So let's just use that as an example. This year, the Bengals were like 75-1 at this point last year. Like that's been widely discussed. They weren't drafted in most Omnifantasy leagues. The Rams were maybe like the 5th best odds, I think it was. They were actually relatively favorably viewed. They were like the 3rd best odds in the NFC, I think, at this point last year. The year prior, you had the Chiefs were the number 1 NFL draft pick in Omnifantasy draft season. They ended up as the runner-up. The Bucs were like 20th, but they obviously added Brady over that offseason. That's the other element is like for the NFL, you still have the whole offseason in front of you. For NBA and NHL, you're in the middle of the regular season, so you have a little bit more information. It just sort of depends where you're at on that league's calendar, the way that you want to view sort of the variance. But the NFL, just looking back at this post that I had, the runner-up that year was the top drafted NFL team. The winner, the Bucs, was the 20th drafted. The year prior, it was the 3rd drafted NFL team won. 16th drafted was the runner-up. Year prior, it was the top drafted NFL team won. 9th drafted was the runner-up. Year prior, an undrafted team won it. Who was that? Eagles? Oh, that was the Eagles over NFL
Eagles,
1. Yeah. NFL 1 was the runner-up, which was the Patriots. Most of these top drafted teams that were like in the Super Bowl were the Patriots for a long time or the Chiefs over the last few years. But like almost every year in the NFL, it's been pretty interesting. There's been one top drafted team versus one upstart almost every season for the last like 6 or 7 years. So that's a sport that I weighed at. Just frankly, when I do my Omnifantasy drafts, I try to pick like one of my favorite picks for this year is the Chargers. Because like they got the rookie QB contract, they have some cap space, they have some talent already on the team. They look a lot like the Bengals did at this time last year. They're going to be able to do things throughout the offseason to improve that roster. Forward-looking NFL or forward-looking head coach. I think they're a really good pick at like 22-25 to 1 odds to win the Super Bowl for next year. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that I'm looking at in NFL.
If you had obviously, like you look through a lot of these sports, I bet a bunch of us do not consider ourselves experts on these. If you could devote time to becoming a domain expert on one of these sports to help you succeed in Omnifantasy, where do you think the biggest edge would be if you were like, all right, between now and the draft, I'm just going to study this league?
Probably one of the lesser known leagues. The odds are really bad. Like we have like MLS. It's kind of just a joke league that we throw in. The odds are not, they're super inconsistent. If you knew stuff about the MLS, if you knew stuff about the actual rosters and who's, going to be the upstart team this year, the preseason odds are almost like a wash. We've had a lot of years where the top drafted MLS team doesn't even make the playoffs. Champions League, some of these soccer leagues, probably. I mean, I don't know. NASCAR is fairly predictable. PGA, I mean, there's some people who know golf. I don't know if you'd be able to learn enough about golf to be able to predict it. And even if you know who's good, it's, as I understand it, it's tough to pick like majors winners. A lot of guys that do PGA betting, they'll pick like 3 or 4 winners for a specific tournament because you don't know who's going to kind of have their game for that week. I would say one of those like lesser known sports, or like any sport where there could be like upstarts, like college football, college basketball. If you do some research and you read some sharp analysts in college basketball or college football, you might have a little bit of an edge there on some teams that are getting overlooked in the betting market as well. Because you're basically trying to find where the betting market's not efficient, right?
Yeah.
I think the WNBA would be an interesting one because that's a top-heavy league. Like it's a small league, and like the favorites tend to do well. But if you knew something that the market wasn't factoring in, I think in that type of setting, you'd be more likely to have that knowledge actually lead to a result because it's not such a crapshoot in terms of the playoffs and how the season actually plays out.
Agreed.
That'd be interesting one.
Agreed. I think that's a good one. I also want to throw out, while I was saying all of that, again, we said this 2 weeks ago, but shout out Paul. He was the only one in this like subset of leagues. Because when you create your own Omnifantasy league, if you guys want to go do this with your friends, you can create your own league on the site. You can pick whatever sports you want. So there's a lot of variance in terms of what the actual leagues are. A lot of people are just picking like the core, like 6 main sports. Like they're doing MLB, NFL, college football, NBA, and golf. And they're leaving out like hockey, tennis, and some of those. So anyway, I did some ADP research last year, but only looked at the leagues that were basically the same structure that we did for the ship chasing one, which was using basically all the sports, 12-team league size, certain amount of round, 18-round draft, I think it was. Of all the leagues that were that format, Paul was the only, I think there was 10 or more leagues like that. Paul was the only one who drafted the Cincinnati Bearcats. So shout out to him. He must have figured something out about the Bearcats. And I would still love to talk to him about that. I don't know if he's just an alum or something, but they went to the college football playoff. They were the upstart in college football. No one else even drafted this team. And he got his last round pick. He got semifinal. He got points for them being a semifinalist, which you get, to anyone who doesn't know Omnifantasy, you get points for being anywhere in the final 8 of that sport. So he finished in the final 4. They got more points even. One of the best picks of the year because no one else was even on this team. Just whatever research he did, do what he did.
Good year for Cincinnati in the Omnifantasy world.
I was just going to say, if you were a Cincinnati homer, this would have been the year you would have absolutely crushed.
Yeah. You get the Super Bowl appearance and the Final Four appearance. Whew.
Yeah. How many points did the Bengals get in Omni for?
Bengals got 50. So every sport, the winner gets 80, runner-up gets 50, semifinalists get 30, and there's 2, and then 5th through 8th place, or for most of the sports have bracket structures, so it's quarterfinalists, teams that lose in the quarterfinals, they get 20. So it's 20, 30, 50, 80.
The David asking a common question here for people setting up their own leagues. If I want to create a private league with a friend group, how many categories should we have based on the amount of guys in the league?
Yeah, typically I try to say like close to the same number of categories as participants. If you want to do sort of a shallower league where you're not, this is part of the reason we include like MLS and all this stuff. Because if you only do like 5 or 6 leagues, number one, there's fewer events on the calendar. This is a whole year thing. It's kind of nice to just have stuff going on all throughout the year, even if it's not sports that you care a ton about. You can tune in if you want to. You can kind of see how your teams are evolving throughout the year. But number two, on draft day, like if you have like a 12-team league or a 14-team league and you only have like 6 events, then the guy picking, 14th or whatever, he has to pick like the second or even sometimes the third best odds first round pick. Like I kind of like the idea that like everybody could wind up having the favorite in one sport or have an option to pick the favorite in a given sport. Doesn't necessarily make draft position matter quite as much, if you will. So I mean that's the goal that I always shoot for, the same number of teams roughly as number of entries you have. And then the second part to that question that's not in that question, but I want to hit on, when you set up your private one, you can choose how many rounds you want to draft. I always do the number of leagues plus 5. So you have 5 flex picks. You can pick two NFL teams if you want. You know, you can take 2 basketball teams if you want. Whatever sport you prefer, you can take an additional pick in that sport. You don't have to do flex picks at all. You can do up to like 10 or 20 flex picks if you want. If you only want to do like 6 sports and everybody's drafting 3 or 4 from each sport, you could go that way with it if you want. But I think the default is that I've always played is like usually like 5 flexes total. So like maybe like 13 events and 5 flexes, 18 round draft, you know?
Yep. Wow. Nick giving out tennis alpha in the chat. He says Carlos Alcaraz, an interesting pick for tennis, young upstart who finished the season incredibly strong.
Well, Pete, I don't know if we have time to pull up the tape here, but it's kind of a tradition.
Yeah, let's see what we got here.
Get some tennis highlights up in here. We did my longest running draft we did, and I took Djokovic in the first round, which since we did those picks, he just this week has said he's willing to sit out tournaments over the vaccine. So I think I took him second overall. I'm not in a good position there. He's not going to even be playing. But I wasn't looking at tennis players later because I had committed to Djokovic. But a few of my buddies were pulling up this guy's name. There was like a whole chat about this dude for like a half a day. It was like half joking, but he's like 18 or something. But there's a lot of hype around this dude.
Well, and this is a question about, you know, if you've got Carlos Alcaraz, how much higher are you taking him in Dynasty Omnifantasy?
We've been asked about doing auction formats, man. I'm like, dude, we can't build this into a site yet. Like, let's see if this thing is popular enough, and then we'll talk about it. But it's complicated enough before we start talking about Dynasty.
I was obviously joking, but Dynasty Omnifantasy would be a trip. Like, could you imagine having like the Jaguars and like you just be like, please give me anything, give me anything.
Right.
I gotta trade this guy.
I cannot go down this rabbit hole right now. But after the show, if you want to Google 7 minutes of Carlos Alcaraz forehand
come on,
winners.
give us a minute. Give us a minute.
Okay. We're not watching this whole thing.
Yeah, we're not gonna watch 7 minutes. Maybe 6.
Which guy is he? How do I know which guy he is?
The guy who wins on the forehand.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Medvedev. It said Medvedev on the top. That was against your boy, Pat.
I don't like this guy. I don't like his attitude.
Wow, you turned on him quick, Pat.
Well, you can't be scoring on Medvedev.
This isn't 7 minutes of forehand winners. This is 7 minutes of volume.
Woo!
That was good.
Yeah, he's not quick with the winners. He doesn't he's not returning serves with forehand winners. Unbelievable.
You gotta support these small channels.
Yeah.
This is after
let's give these guys some views here.
This is to butter him up so he doesn't send over the takedown notice.
This dude's gonna have a first round ADP by the time we start drafting.
That was pretty. Oh,
hey Nick, I hope you regret giving us this alpha because he's no longer a value in draft.
You guys thought Sky Moore was bad. Wait till you see what happens.
This is gonna be a third round pick. Man, this guy's forehand is pretty nice.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, you can't leave that much court open. Have you not seen the film on this guy?
Is that against Nadal?
I don't know who that. This is Reditorini.
I meant the last one.
Oh, I can only
which
see
I only know because I update the scores in the database. I've learned all the names. I've never watched any of this.
Oh my god. Let's see here.
Man, there's so many volleys.
Damn.
All right. I can't. I mean, if I send this guy's ADP into the first round, I'll never be able to forgive myself.
By the way, I've been looking up some more Sky Moore stuff, and he does look like a pretty great prospect. If we get the draft, we're going to be all in.
That's what's happened is like after we tried to do a bit about just like a random ass player, and then everyone starts. You see the Pro Football Focus, tweets about him. Everyone's coming around
tagged,
on Sky Moore.
The three of us got tagged this week on someone in an Underdog draft who somebody else in their draft took him in the 4th round. Sky Moore in the 4th round.
Crazy. That's a bit. I think that's got to be a bit.
It was. I was on the clock in one of my big board drafts, one of my slow drafts, team slow draft here. I logged on in the 18th round at the very top of the queue with Sky Moore. I was like, how does the draft room let me get Sky Moore at pick? 200 or whatever.
I got to check my slow draft. Oh, it's my pick on a slow draft. Let me see if Sky Moore's here. I'll draft him on stream right now.
All right. Okay. So speaking of best ball drafts, we mentioned Underdog launched the ultimate socialist dream, backyard best ball. We get rid of the high T running backs. What do you guys say we hop in here and rip off one of these drafts?
Let's do it.
I have not looked in here. I do not know the ADPs. I don't know what's going on.
That's such a beautiful draft board. Just all wide receivers. You didn't even have to filter.
I told them we need a draft where we can just exclusively piss yellow, and we log in, and there it is. It's beautiful.
Not that we wouldn't have already, but it's nice when you're forced to.
So quarterbacks are pretty far down by ADP right now, which, I mean, because this just launched, I don't think we've gotten the refresh. I did hear somewhere Liam took Josh Allen 103 in one of these drafts. Very on brand.
Very on brand.
From our Best Ball Mania champ. Just like, what is your snap take on how to think about QBs in this format? 10 rounds, and it's just one quarterback starter for each of the 4 rounds.
So what do you mean for each of the 4 rounds?
Sorry. Yeah, I should have. So the way it works, weeks 1 through 14 is around where you advance. Week 15 weeks, but the starting lineup is just 1 QB, 3 wide receivers, and then the rest is on the bench with no other positional requirements.
I just take 1 quarterback and 9 receivers.
Obviously. Just YOLO it.
Probably
I think
2-8.
2. Yeah, 2-8. Yeah.
I think you want as many receivers as possible.
But I think there'd probably be something to having a couple, like, there's not as much opportunity cost, right? So if you have...
we're on the clock.
Yeah. Adams or Tyreek?
I think Tyreek.
Yeah.
We just don't know with Adams, with Rodgers.
Yeah, let's do that.
I don't get the.
I guess it depends how early the quarterbacks go, because it would be kind of nice to have, like, Lamar and Herbert or something, and then you feel pretty damn good about your playoff run.
But there's only 6 people. I mean, even if they all
there's only 6 people. Yeah,
that's
true.
QB 11 and 12 at us. Even if if we're the last one to take one. I mean,
that's a great point. Yeah, I wasn't factoring that in enough.
I feel like you're going to get good enough QBs regardless.
Yeah, so I mean, the question, do we think Mahomes comes back to us here if we...
Right on the back end of a tiered break, because Debo, A.J. Brown, and Diggs are all better than these guys.
Right. So what do you think?
I'm down to take Mahomes or any of these receivers. I mean, all these picks look good to me.
Yeah, let's get Mahomes.
Yeah, we can lock him up. In the chat, those of you who have done these before, let me know where Mahomes normally goes. I mean, or where you've seen him go here. What is he? John says Tyreek's so much easier to get a 3 or 4 guy stack
to get into like Pringle.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. I guess we'll see how thin it gets, but I think part of the appeal for me with Tyreek is like he had like a 30% target share.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Grant says he likes the 2 running QBs and 8 wide receiver strategy, so not worrying about the stacks, which is probably an edge if everyone's going out of their way to get the stacks. Let's see here. It is kind of interesting to think through these as those wide receiver tier breaks. Like we probably just hit one After
we just hit
Metcalf.
one again.
I think I would take Deontay. I mean, I know Ben, but Deontay's targets per run are just absurd. What do you think?
Yeah, although some of that's been, I kind of prefer McLaurin, I think, because I feel like the quarterback change is more net good. But
I'm good
He's
with
just
either.
never really drawn targets at a huge. I mean, he's more of like a high route guy. He's always been efficient too. Like from a targets per out run perspective, these two guys are a huge gap, but McLaurin still gets it done.
Well,
The only
part of
reason-
that's ADOT though. You know,
Yeah.
and I know you've looked at weighted targets per out run, and I think McLaurin rates pretty well on that.
Yeah. The other, I mean, Terry was a few more picks down ADP, so I thought maybe if these guys go with a quarterback, he would slip to us. But Terry goes here at the 3-6 turn.
Hopkins was bad this year. In my big write-up did some write-ups last week on targets per out run for the Stealing Signals Substack. Hopkins and Keenan Allen are two guys that I wound up thinking we should be getting more of a discount early in drafts this year.
Yeah.
What about DJ Moore or Tyler Lockett? Those would be my picks here.
You do not have to pull my leg on TJ Moore at any point.
Let's do more here. JW here in the chat talking about Eagles saying you could maybe bully QB like you can tight end in a traditional format by going Mahomes, Allen. Curious guys' thoughts. Is that drop off that big between them and Lamar? I don't know if it is that big.
I don't think it is. Yeah.
At the same
much
time,
of quarterback just comes down to passing efficiency, which is like very hard to predict. Like how many touchdowns a guy throws, which is.
But who else would you put in that group with them and Lamar and Kyler? I think if you got two of those four, you're still kind of doing what he's saying in terms of bullying. You're doing something vaguely unique where enough of the rest of your league is not going. They're going to be giving up QB points to you over the course of a season when you have two of those four, and only a couple of them have one, and the others have. I mean, they have some of them are going to have Herbert.
If I have Herbert and Burrow, I feel pretty good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I'm getting those guys, pull up the board because they went.
Oh, yeah, we have. Sorry. Yeah, we're on the clock here.
It'd be, I think, Elijah for me.
I'm definitely
good with Elijah.
Yeah,
he was damn good this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, and I think JW was talking here about ideal structures, basically down to 3-7 versus 2-8 versus 1-9. I guess we could. I do think I probably feel better with 2, even with Mahomes. I don't know how much that 9th or 8th receiver is contributing to you, 9th, I should say, versus a second quarterback that can help you advance. I mean, you really need your quarterback to go scorched earth like through 3 straight. Yeah. I think that second QB is
Sean was talking about, I mean, for their team in
so
FFPC, they needed both Rodgers and Burrow. Rodgers had the big game to get them through 1 week, and then Burrow had the big games the other weeks. I mean, having 2 really good QBs in that QB window has always been big in best.
Yeah. What do you guys, I mean, I like Devonta Smith. I'm also open to professional streamer Marquise Brown. No, I'm just kidding.
Let's do it.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Did you have anyone else you would have considered there, Pat?
I mean, Amon-Ra.
I would have considered Traylon Burks there.
Traylon Burks is nice. Yeah. Those are the 2 I was looking at as well. But I
think Garrett Wilson's a pretty nice pick.
I like Devonta because we have the 1 QB and.
Yeah, that's true.
What do you guys think about taking Jalen Hurts on the way back?
I like that a lot. Yeah. There's definitely, let's see here what the quarterback situation is looking like.
People
here.
Think he's going to get usurped again. There's all this talk of trades and.
Yeah, I mean the ADP hasn't even really set in here because there's no reason. I mean, Tom Brady ahead of Jalen Hurts in the queue. That doesn't make sense. So now we can definitely rock just 2 QBs with Mahomes and
that feels
Hurts
good.
here.
Lock in Quez Watkins for the final round.
Yep.
Yeah. We do not know the bye week, Derek. This is the trade-off when you want to draft in February. You get your rocks off, but you do not know the schedule.
You do not know the schedule.
You also don't know free agency. You also don't know trades. You also don't know injuries. You also don't know global pandemics.
I think the Rams, don't we know that the Rams have like an easy? I think it's the Rams. They released the teams that like
home and
you
away is
earned.
known, yeah.
But like
You're
I
gonna
think they
play.
also released the good teams, get to play other good teams, or have to play other good teams. But I think it's the Rams. Their good teams are a joke.
It's like the Bucks and stuff, probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
Packers.
We're
Bucks
on the
and Packers.
clock.
Yeah, exactly.
Garrett Wilson, Ayuk.
I like Garrett Wilson a lot.
I think Wilson's okay if Pat likes him. I was gonna say Renfro's pretty appealing too with McDaniels there, but
yeah,
I like
Garrett Wilson's kind of like. I think he's a little bit. I mean, he's a lot like Waddle, but you've got. Yeah, Waddle's probably the best comp because he was like, but he had more college production, and he had a really nice sophomore year while Olave was a junior, and he played primarily in the slot as a sophomore, and then he played primarily in the outside.
Oh, we took him over Drake London though.
I like him better than Drake London.
You do? Interesting.
Yeah,
I thought you had.
I like Drake London a lot.
Too.
I think. Yeah, so I've revised this. I think it's a clear top three. I think Garrett Wilson belongs in the top three. I like it Burks, Wilson, London, but if London's like the 10th overall pick,
Tony went. I think Ayuk is pretty sick here.
Yeah, Ayuk's great.
Both of those are good picks. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead. Anyway, if draft, I'll let draft position decide it after the fact if there's like big gaps in the draft position, but that's like my initial lean is Burks, Wilson, London.
Got it.
That makes sense.
But on Wilson, I was going to say, I mean, I think this is like really impressive that he was in the slot. I think it was like 73% of snaps as a sophomore, and then he was on the outside to the point where his slot snaps declined to like 17 or 18%. And he's really fast. He can operate downfield. He has kind of an intermediate ADOT of like 12 or 13 or so every year. But he's versatile inside out. He's outperforming a teammate who's highly regarded, probably going to be a first or second round pick, in Olave, who's a year ahead of him. He doesn't have everything. Like his career yardage share is not ideal, but he's hyper efficient in yards per route run. I mean, it's a pretty impressive profile, and I think you don't have to worry about draft position where Burks could be a second round pick, I think, whereas I think Garrett Wilson's probably locked into the first round. So anyway, I'm pretty excited about him too.
You guys, Judy,
I like
anyone
Judy
else?
a lot here. I think Judy's an awesome pick here.
Judy seems very nice. Yeah, I think after now just ripping off one of these, I mean, the fact
too many receivers.
There's a ton of wide receivers still left. I wonder. Yeah, I definitely feel like having tight ends in it, and maybe even
more
or even more people, like 8-man drafts or 10.
Or add running backs.
I mean, whoever made this obviously has never gone 0 RB. Like, have you drafted receivers before? No,
I will say too, one of the things Underdog acknowledged with this being an experimental format is there's essentially like no rake on it. I think it's 0.8% rake. So they're we're at least getting it in good here.
I just think it's hilarious that
I'm gonna play it. I don't know if I was honestly like on the fence of whether I was gonna be firing these rake-free tournament. I'm probably gonna fire.
I gotta say though, it's funny that we got through 10 picks through the whole draft, and wide receiver never got gross. Never even got remotely close to gross, as opposed to when we do like ship chasing drafts, and in the 5th round, wide receivers gross. When there's 12 teams and everyone's drafting receivers, it gets even worse than this earlier.
I know. It's like, the kid who smokes a cigarette, and then the dad's like, you got to smoke the entire pack of cigarettes. And the kid's like, I still fucking love the cigarettes, man. I'll smoke them all.
Yeah. I'm addicted now. By the way, Dan points out on the final Garrett Wilson point, there's a sophomore at Ohio State who's a 5-star recruit and was awesome last year and looks like he's going to be an incredible prospect when he comes out as well.
That's this guy?
Yeah. So you have, I don't know how to say his name, but you got Garrett Wilson kind of sandwiched between two potential other first-round picks and still being highly productive and efficient. It's just been such, like, to me, that's like the big thing that we're not capturing with the market share numbers and stuff is like, the DK Metcalf, AJ Brown thing, the Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase thing. Like when you get the Ohio State guys, we've kind of been struggling with to properly project for years. The Alabama guys, we were aware of it and trying to do it, but I think even then probably missed. I probably should have been a little bit more excited about Jalen Waddle, even though I was acknowledging at the time that this effect was clearly in play. So anyway, that effect I think is really helpful for Garrett Wilson and makes me not really worried about the fact that his like career yardage share is a little lower than I like.
It also seemed like everyone allocated their quarterback capital correctly. First 4 slots did 2 QBs with 1, moderately early, and then the 2-3 QB teams. Tanner took his first QB in the 6th. Welshier took Lance in the 7th and then ripped off a couple quarterbacks. And you're still getting a pretty high upside QB3 here, Justin Fields or Deshaun Watson. So similar to what Ben was saying about wide receiver, even quarterback doesn't really get gross.
Yeah, they seem like fun drafts.
Yeah, let's
do another one.
I mean, Justin Fields in the 10th is pretty sweet.
Yeah. Let's
they're quick too, so we got time for another one, right?
Oh yeah. Let's do another.
It's your account, not mine.
Money's going to be coming out of this account when I have to go and start paying taxes.
Yeah, taxes.
All right,
Not
we got
looking forward to
Debo in here again. Do your research. That's a new name I haven't seen. Is this are you in the chat? If you're in the chat in this one. Oh, Corbin was in the previous draft there. Oh, sorry, Phil. These are filling like hotcakes.
We got the 104 again. We got that teardrop in the second round.
I know that is not not ideal. This is also wild that they dropped this today and it's already a 5th full. I mean, we are all just absolutely sick.
This thing's gonna fill up in a week.
Well, the thing is it's gonna fill up and we're gonna all voice our opinion and then we're gonna get a better version of it for backyard Bestball too.
It's gonna be beautiful. I just want to take Quez Watkins in this format. I mean, why can't we just go real deep with it?
Yeah.
There was some good receivers when you scrolled down at the end that there's that old idea. I think John was saying to take Mecole or Pringle to get different. There's some guys that didn't go in our last one that can be legit studs next year that I think you should be trying to get in the 10th round because they're not going to typically go in these drafts still because they're like 12th rounders. Right now,
like who do you mean?
Well, like he scrolled down, I saw Jacoby Myers. The Jacoby Myers is rounds undervalued right now. I wrote about him in Signals, like way undervalued.
Do we want to get? We could do Diggs and then try to get Allen because I know we're dealing with that tier break.
Yeah, I'm down. Or Adams if we want to share. Let's go Diggs. Yeah, get a unique start here, maybe.
Maybe we'll get AJ Brown on the comeback. They got CeeDee Lamb higher than him.
I mean,
just Allen. So much.
so
that.
I mean, but that also locks in AJ Brown.
That's true.
Or Debo here. That helped the tier break a little, and we can do some other stacking. So
there you go. I mean, Josh Allen only throws to Gabriel Davis anyway, so it's not even a stack that we need.
Now we can get Debo.
Let's get AJ Brown, dude. Let's buy AJ Brown.
AJ over Debo?
I'd rather have AJ Brown. Yeah.
Really?
They're both really, really good. I mean, I'm not going to be.
We got a quarterback change in San Francisco.
Hey, God, if Ben Gretch, the world's biggest AJ Brown fan,
I'm not taking a side on this. I want to be clear. I would definitely go AJ Brown.
All right, I'm fine with it. But we already kind of reached on Diggs, and then we didn't take the ADP gift in Debo, although this ADP isn't really settled, so who knows?
Imagine not taking the ADP gift on February 16th. Imagine not blindly following ADP on February 16th.
Dusty got this Dusty guy picking behind us got probably a pretty unique combo with Debo and whoever else he matched him with in the first round. Because I was thinking even if we took Debo there's probably a lot of Diggs Debos at the 6th spot,
Yeah.
5 spot.
Yeah. Are you guys not like? I guess
There's
this
probably
doesn't
not
matter
a lot
with
of
this.
as many digs AJ Brown because you
Yeah.
No one did that. That's wild.
got to go higher on digs to make that happen.
Pat's philosophy in February QB wide receiver only drafts is you just got to get your guys.
Yeah, that is my philosophy.
Keenan,
All right, what are we doing here? Keenan works for me. Yeah,
I'm out on Keenan personally.
Really?
We can take him if you guys want.
who would be your pick over him? Because
Deontay again. I mean, we took him in the second last time, didn't we? Or no, we took him in the third. I would take
third,
Deontay over Keenan for sure. But you guys can take.
we could
can
get
go
Hopkins
Keenan.
and try to play for Murray.
I don't like Keenan or Hopkins, so if you guys want Keenan,
Well, let's do Deontay. Let's do Deontay.
Okay.
again. All right. I mean, that's fine.
You're the one.
You didn't like
pitching
our
it.
other.
I think it's right. I just don't like being the guy that's pushed us into taking him both times.
Okay. I thought at the last second you're like, I don't like it.
No. I'm glad we took it. I think it's right.
All right, good.
I feel like I overruled both of you on that one, so I don't like that. But I'm good with it.
My thing with Hopkins is that the offense was worse without him, and therefore he must have been pretty decent in real life. And I understand like he wasn't targeted nearly as heavily, but I don't know. It's DeAndre Hopkins. I think he's still got the skill. So I'm still like mildly interested if he's not too expensive.
What do we think? What are we thinking our quarterback stride? Do we still want to try to get an elite one?
I think Kyler would be a good pick here. Kyler's got to be right up there. He can be QB1. I mean, he's got to be right up there with the other guys that have already gone. Or Lamar is still there. That's the other guy.
Yeah. Who do you think? I mean, we can still
we go DJ and then go grab Lamar later, and then we can stack Lamar with Marquise Brown.
All right, we can do that.
I mean, this is a fun team. Those are 4 good receivers right there.
I didn't feel very good about taking a MLB player in the 4th round.
Kyler Lamar went the next 2 picks.
God damn it.
It is. Let's see. So, yeah, I mean, what? Probably a tier break after Herbert and Burrow at quarterback?
Yeah, for sure.
Burrow went.
Do we want Herbert? If
Dubner says you're 100% Deontay.
Oh, God.
I think
poor Dubner having to reset up his spreadsheets now to handle QB wide receiver.
What do we do at quarterback if we? I think we take Herbert. We can't be.
And we can still get Mike Williams if we want to get a stack.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
All right.
He's a free agent, but I think he'll probably be back.
Mike Williams is.
He'd be crazy if he's. I don't know what do you take, like the better money deal with the Jaguars or the Texans or something? Don't do that, Mike. Don't do it.
So Keenan's the down thing on Keenan, I was just trying to pull it up from my write-up, was like he was down from his peak numbers. He was still good. But there's been multiple years in a row now of efficiency decline as well. He said 2 of his worst yards per targets 2 years in a row, and then his targets per out run followed this year by dropping like 3 or 4 percentage points or something. So like it's not, I mean, like sometimes the age curve can become an age cliff is sort of the concern, right? He's like 30.
Yeah.
I think he should be going in like the 5th round of normal drafts, and he's going the same spot he was going last year. Like he didn't just have a bad year because he ran 641 routes. He ran like one of the highest route rates or total routes in the entire NFL. But his targets per out run stayed strong in 2020, even though his yards per target had kind of fallen. His yards per target stayed down, and his targets per out run started to dip as well. I mean, at his age, like,
yeah, you don't like to see that.
I don't like to see that.
Do you guys want to gamble on Mike Williams coming back or lock him up here?
I think we can take him here.
Yeah.
We don't have any stacks on this team.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Yeah. JW asking Ben, what's your take if Mike Williams leaves on Keenan? Does that change it for you? Or are you just kind of worried about him in general?
I think I'm just kind of worried about him. I mean, definitely Mike Williams made targets per out run gains. Like they were correlated. Williams obviously had the big start and then he had a decent finish and was really bad for a stretch in between when expectations rose and he didn't really sort of live up to the promise of the hot start. But in full, his 2021 was good, and it was part of why Keenan Allen's was down. So if he's gone and like Keenan Allen doesn't have competition, I mean, I'm not going to be super bullish on him at his age. Most of this is more about him as a player. He used to be a guy who didn't matter who was on the field with him. He's going to earn a ton of targets. I don't know if he's that guy anymore. That's the real thing.
Yeah.
It wasn't terrible, though. I mean,
no, it was still good. Yeah. It's just at a lower ADOT and stuff. It needs to be, for him to be a 3rd-round pick in, normal 12-team drafts and everything, I mean, he needs to be like a 27% target per hour.
Are we on the clock? Oh, no, we're on the clock.
We're on the clock now, yeah. Looking at some familiar names here. Who is a guy that,
Or Drake London is probably a little bit further down if we want to switch up. Pat said he switched to Wilson.
Yeah, I mean, Drake London's.
I bet London goes before we go. I mean, he went right.
You could also
after.
do something like Claypool and get like in on the Steelers' new offense without taking the quarterback. Do you think that could be something that is an edge, right? If you've got like a Steelers stack, but you're obviously not going to take because people are going to be no one's
who's
obviously
the QB
because no one knows who the quarterback is, right? No one knows.
Rodgers?
Maybe Garoppolo.
That's why you max this out 150 entries, trying to circle through every potential quarterback that Chase Claypool could have, and then hitting on that stack.
No. What I mean is that we also have Deontay, so you don't worry about who the quarterback is. You take Deontay and Claypool, and you're doing the when the offense rolls, everybody rolls. Leone strategy where you're stacking up the Steelers skill players.
Here's some alpha from John Warner. He's had his binoculars out in the Hertzig draft, says he's taking Bobby Trees in the big board like 10 to 15 spots ahead of ADP. There you go.
Well, the Odell injury.
What's his ADP? I don't remember his from my.
I want to say he's going in like the 9th or 10th round in those.
He's got.
Richard says he's going 0 quarterback.
I was on the Chargers in my write-up, so it's easy to scroll up to the Rams. I noted his contract has a ton of dead money. They love what he brings as a blocker and schematic play piece. He also is going to turn 30 here in April, but I mean, there's things about Woods. I had like a mildly optimistic write-up on him too. I think he's going like really late. 83. That's actually not as late as I thought, but still, I mean, I can see being higher on him than that.
Yeah. All right, we're going to be on the clock again. Are we wanting...
Tony goes 1 pick ahead of us again.
Jeez. Hurts is still going way too late in these. Or do we want to play the hits again? You can try to...
Drake London. I think I would go down to London here. Or Robert Woods.
I'm good with
it. Let's do
you
London.
Guys want
London is fun. Like, I think we were watching him and we said like he looks kind of like Mike Evans or Vincent Jackson. He's like potentially 30 pounds lighter than Vincent Jackson was. So that's like a concern.
That was a great comment. You
just pulled up, Andrew says Crack Rock is taking Robert Woods 3 rounds ahead of ADP. Well, when Cooper Kupp finished as the 101, that's exactly how high we took Robert Woods this year. 3 rounds ahead of finishing ADP. God, yeah. Can you imagine if you would have told us like the guy we just took Robert Woods over would be the Super Bowl MVP?
And not just Super Bowl MVP, but like he literally got an MVP vote. He got an MVP vote.
Offensive Player of the Year is the other.
Offensive Player of the Year.
God. All right. Do we want to grab another? We should get another quarterback here.
Yeah.
I mean,
want to just do Hurts again? Or
Prescott? I would do Hurts or Prescott for sure.
Should we just mix it up and do? Why don't we do Hurts since we don't have a stack? I don't know.
Okay. Prescott's kind of, I don't know. To me, that's wild that he's still here.
Can we? Who do we stack him with though? Is
Wilson, baby? I think you got to bet that Gallup's gone, but if Gallup's gone, Seth Wilson's probably a good.
Yeah, I like that.
The thing is with that, I do wonder, just as now we've done a couple of these and thinking through the strategy, and I realize there's probably not a ton of edges, but getting stacks that aren't part of the main ADP cohort, outside of the top, 60 picks is probably a pretty good strategy, because we know how some of these advancement weeks go, where it's like, you just need the right player. You just need the Gabe Davis, the week he has 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Like, so kind of getting unique in that regard might be one of the few edges here.
And Gallup's still here, as John points out in the chat.
Yeah.
He is a free agent. I mean, I kind of feel like he's going to be out of town, but
the question is, it's a lot different taking, pick 260 in a full draft when 240 players are getting drafted versus like the teardrop from, like, say, Jerry Jeudy to Cedric Wilson. Like, the roles can be so meaningfully different.
Yeah. I think if Judy's here, we got to.
How bad do we have to stack here?
That's the other thing. I mean,
like, can we just do the Jacoby Myers play? Because I think he's better than all these guys.
This is how Underdog gets us, because there's so many wide receivers we want on our team that you just keep drafting, just getting different ones each time.
Yeah, we don't need to take him. So you're thinking Gallup, Pete?
No, I'm just talking it through. I mean, I don't think we go out of our way to stack Gallup when there's no guarantees.
Yeah,
on the team.
I love Judy here. What do you guys think?
Yeah,
I mean, Judy again.
He's
pretty a good pick. Why is he going in the 10th?
I was just going to ask that. Why is he going so low?
There's kind of a narrative that he's like a bust or something when he's been like totally fine.
I mean,
he hasn't obviously like been what we were hoping, because the offense sucks.
That's exactly what it is. The early offseason thing is typically based on what our expectations were the last year. I mean, I feel like that's part of why Mike Williams is not being seen favorably right now, or his whole season's not being looked favorably, because he ended up being a bust relative to his own early success. He didn't really he looked really good early on. Like, he was going to be a top 20 receiver the rest of the way. But yeah, same thing with Judy for this whole season. He didn't live up to the expectations. Like, guys who don't live up to expectations get knocked in drafts. There's nothing like it.
It's also weird too, because if you go look at the futures markets, like, you'll see the Broncos ahead of the Chargers. And I assume it's because of people projecting Aaron Rodgers there. Maybe that's changed since the recent report the other day that Rodgers is open to returning. But it's interesting that people aren't necessarily projecting that onto the ADPs, right? Because if you told people that Aaron Rodgers was going to be Jerry Jeudy's quarterback, like, he'd be going 3rd or 4th round in these.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
This is a good draft.
Yeah, it was.
Judy in the last round is like, what?
Yeah. I mean, like, this is what I mean. Judy is on a different caliber of talent.
Josh Palmer. I mean, we could have taken Josh Palmer. We had Herbert. Josh Palmer, Jerry Jeudy, like,
no justification for that pick. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry if this person's literally literally watching.
I don't think they are.
You didn't ask for the sauce, but I'm toasting out the sauce.
They did do the double tap there at quarterback to as John Paulson would say.
Oh, they're the one who sniped us on Josh Allen. So you know what? You deserve every ounce of sauce I gave.
Hey, Tom has a cool comment here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Thomas says, just want to say thank you for doing the FFPC Playoff Challenge 2 video. I took your advice switching Adams and Henry for Aaron Jones and Henry, and also used Higgins over Chase, and it resulted in 2nd place for Thomas.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Big hit.
Where did our team with Hassan and Blair end up finishing? What was the actual spot?
I think we were 18th because some Higgins teams passed us, including Thomas's.
Should have been a penalty. we're
obvious face mask. No, we had Higgins. We had so much Higgins throughout the tournament, and then the teams that bubbled up were we had a mixing team. We had the big one was the Chase team that we could have actually finished 4th or 5th with.
Did we know the team or recognize who got first in the main playoff challenge? Did we see that at all?
I didn't.
Yeah, I didn't see it bubble up either. But yes, congrats to all the winners there. I know, I think we mentioned it, but a lot of ship chasers did well in the gauntlet finals. I know Fornon, who's a ship chasing VIP member, finished top 5. Harbs, who hangs out in the Deposit Kingdom Discord, finished 2nd. So yeah, congratulations to those guys. Always fun to see all the ship chasers and everyone from our circle of friends crush these tournaments.
It's awesome.
Pat, you got to get your final night with a horned up Murphy. You guys got anything special planned?
There's nothing special planned. I do feel bad for him. He's getting this surgery tomorrow. He has no idea. He's just living his normal life. Took him to the vet today, drop off a urine sample. He's all excited. He loves the vet. He loves it because he just wants attention, and they give him attention at the vet. I don't know. Maybe this will change that.
There you go. It sounds like it could be a lot of people hate the vet, or dogs hate the vet. So maybe you found something where it's like he gets excited when you say go to the vet.
Well, we'll see how he feels after the surgery. You know what I mean? Luckily, it's actually a different location than our normal vet. It's around the corner, but I have to take him 30 minutes south to the actual vet, where they're going to do the surgery. So maybe he won't associate the two. I don't know if he can put that together or
not. Gretch, anything else on your mind here?
I just pulled up the leaderboard for the round 2 thing, and the winner had Josh Allen. So did our buddy Thomas, which I never actually really tracked it all. But with the double points, I mean, Kupp and Higgins were so big, and Burrow and Stafford weren't necessarily that. Yeah, it played out that a quarterback who only played one game wound up in the winning lineup. So that's a very interesting outcome for all the
2 games.
No, they lost to the Chiefs in the round. This is the second chance.
Oh, in the second chance?
Yeah.
Yes. Allen won. Isn't that crazy? Just off that one game against the Chiefs.
That's crazy. Holy shit.
Yeah. And I thought Gabe Davis was going to be a trump card because there were some people who had Gabe Davis in the second chance, had Burrow and Stafford and those types. But because Kupp and Higgins were so huge, with the 1.5 points, they scored 59.8 and 52. In the Super Bowl. They must have just been so much better than those quarterbacks that those guys banked for the people that had them. Pretty exciting finish, I think, for anyone who was actually tracking it. I was not as closely as I should have been. Very drunk on the Super Bowl.
Well, and it's just interesting how those dynamics shake out, because when you think about it, because Mahomes played awful in the conference championship, and then it was Garoppolo and Stafford, and you just didn't have any elite quarterbacks really scoring through those final 2 rounds.
Yeah, there's a Burrow, Kupp, Gabe Davis that finished 31st. So some of quite a ways back, about 30 points back. So it's just the way that the puzzle pieces went together.
Yeah. And man, looking back in hindsight and, thinking through good chalk, bad chalk, Cooper Kupp, just an absolute impossible fade. I mean, almost in any circumstance, even if they go one and done in that game, he's still putting up such a massive score.
Well, in the first game he did, obviously they won, but I think he was outscored in the first game by Odell Beckham, wasn't he?
Oh, was he?
I think he was.
Who did they play? Now I'm forgetting. Oh, you're right.
So it could have happened
against the Cowboys. Oh, the Cardinals game. Yeah.
The Cardinals. Yeah, I think in the Cardinals game he was outscored. They lost. They didn't lose the game, but it may be. But I don't know. I mean, it's certainly possible. Although the fact that they won the Super Bowl, it's the type of thing where you need it to be one and done. The fact that they won the Super Bowl, obviously, in retrospect,
that was a great example
of likely that than we thought.
Right. That was a great example of something we talked about a lot during the builds, was that how does this team make a run? And for the Rams, it was obviously the Cooper Kupp has some huge games. And that's what we saw.
Yeah. Yep. Let us know too what you guys have been enjoying as far as what we do on the show. I know FFPC has been happy to put up some of those never too early Bestball drafts for us on Wednesdays at 9:30, the scheduled one. So if we have more interest in that, we can run those back. Underdog obviously always has contests up, but definitely open to ideas. But it just seems like everyone loves to draft. We like to draft. People like it when we draft. So I guess we'll just keep drafting.
I'm good with that.
Sweet. Well, we'll have some follow-up news. Ben Will has your email for Omni Fantasy. I'm going to connect with the VIPs in the Discord about some of those leagues. But Ben, any other final housekeeping things with Omni?
No, I mean, just get signed up in the next couple of days. If you see anybody in the Discord or anything that seems to not know what they're talking about, explain it to them or tag me or something so we can make sure people that want to be in can get in. Looks like we finished the show here with 29 people signed up. So like I said, last year, I think we had 33 ship chasers in and us 3 to make the 36. Seems likely that we'll go past that this year. So we'll just see what happens over the next couple of days and maybe start on Friday-ish. The other element of it is kind of a old school site in terms of drafting. And so you don't have notifications. So we got to stay on top of that as well. You got to kind of be willing to be a little bit aware of the draft while you're doing it, and people can kind of ping as well. That's why we were doing the Twitter threads we're talking about potentially setting up some stuff on Discord. So those will be some helpful things, but it's fun. It's definitely fun. I mean, it's one of those things where it's a little overwhelming when you first look at it. It's even overwhelming for me in a new year. When I did my first draft, I'm like, dude, I don't even want to get into this, but I waited until the draft kind of started, and then you start to just sort of do your research the first couple rounds. But by the time you're done with like your second pick, you're already like, these are the things I was considering in the first couple rounds. This is where I want to go in these rounds. This is what I'm definitely going to be waiting on these sports. You get kind of an idea of what sports you want to target in what areas in the mid rounds and the late rounds. And again,
I had exactly the same experience where I just started researching during the draft, and that's actually like very fun.
It's fun.
The clock is on. You're like, all right, I gotta figure out who I'm taking here, you know?
Yeah.
And then that research is I actually think the research is kind of just as fun as like I didn't watch any MLS this year. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't always create the situation where you're watching the sport, but just doing the research can be kind of fun and get you at least get your toes in on a new sport.
Yeah. Looking forward to that. We'll be in touch. Thank you guys as usual for watching. Keep drafting Sky Moore. Keep drafting the man whose last name Alcaraz that I'm already
Alcaraz.
I keep saying it Alcatraz just without the T, I think is how it is. We must escape from Alcaraz in our drafts. We will catch you guys around.
Escape with Alcaraz.
That's true. That's true. My pun game has slipped since snip chasing. Thank you guys. We appreciate you. We are here every Wednesday night at 9:15 p.m. Eastern. You can check us out on Twitter at Ship Chasing. We'll catch you next time.